Joining me now for more on this is the Public Affairs Analyst, Ambrose Igboke, and he joins me from Enugu State via phone. Good to have you on the news at this time. So first off, what do you make of the situation amidst concerns about the new Naira notes, which is yet to be fully in circulations, and it's just about 4 days to go before there ceases to be the legal tender?
Well, first of all, the CBN's redesigning of the new Naira note came from the Thunderbolt. It seems that it was something that was a start process, because when countries want to redesign their Naira note, their currencies, it's a well-planned and well-thought-out process, because it's an economic activity that will have a great impact on the economy of that country. So the citizens are given a good notice of at least 6 months before the implementation starts. And then when implementation starts, it now takes a period of 1.5 years to 2 years, running side by side with the old note, till the old note is totally now withdrawn and the new note runs. For example, just last year, the Queen of England died. And because there's a new king, its picture has to appear on their currency, they have given notice. Even that happened, because of the death, it was not planned. But they gave notice that by May this year, the new currency will be effect. And it will run for 2 years. So that is how these things are planned before the other one is now, withdrawn. But in this case, the CBN came as if they just were roused up from the slumber, and they gave Nigeria this announcement, and they started implementing it immediately. And what has happened was that the old notes were being returned to the banks. The banks were not dispensing the new notes. That is what even led us to this quagmire. Even if forgive the CBN for putting us in this tight conundrum, what has happened is that if the CBN, from the fact that when the new currency started being in circulation in December, we are giving people the new notes and they were returning the old notes to the bank, we won't have this kind of situation. But they kept circulating the old notes. They kept circulating it both in their ATM and across the counter. And that's what has put Nigerians in this problem. Because majority of the masses are people who are trying to survive. They are not the so-called people who are stocking money in billions in the pits or in warehouses or in bags. They are not those people. The CBN has already limited the amount of withdrawal both on the corporate account and individual account. That should have served as a way of gauging the people that they are fighting in terms of corrupt people, in terms of people who are stashing money for electoral processes and the rest. That would have helped, in checking those ones. But to say, I don't see any reason why the CBN will put Nigerians into the suffering. It's marks of poor planning, to say the least.
From your analysis, you're trying to say that the CBN didn't do its homework pretty well. What do you think, or what other options can be explored in this situation, even as the CBN insists that it would not extend the deadline, having given about 4 months for this currency redesign to take effect?
Well, the 4 months would have been sufficiently okay if they were doing what they did now. I mean, we're having around Saturday banking, we're having Sunday banking. But if this thing they are trying to do now, they have started it since the currency was not introduced in December, where people have access to the biggest problem now is access to the new Naira notes. Nigerians are not having access to it. I drove around town since this week. Since December, people have been depositing money and they are not getting new money. What kind of policy is that? So Nigerians are not getting access to the new notes. So what has happened now is that because of that, you are still stuck to the 31st January deadline with no access. So that kind of thing is conflicting. It's a paradox in planning. So what we are begging the CBN is to see if they can extend this deadline to allow Nigerians have access to the new notes. Then they can continue with the policy of trying to checkmate corruption, trying to checkmate people who are stashing money to buy electoral votes according to them, and trying to prevent other malpractices that may happen by people stocking up the Naira. That should be taken care of by the limits of withdrawal. But this kind of policies where you purposely and intentionally subject Nigerians to economic hardships, many families will not eat this coming week. Many children will not go to school. Businesses are already closed. When you come to Enugu and some other places, even in the villages, businesses are already closed. They can't open because there is no Naira to trade. Already, some people are making a lot of money through this cash. Somebody told me today, POS operator said, if I want 20,000 Naira of 200 Naira of the new Naira,
right,
I have to pay 26,000 Naira.
Right, Mr. Igboke,
These are the kind of malpractice that is even going on inside the bank.
Well, your points have been taken very well. Thank you so much for your insights. I can imagine you have a lot to tell us concerning this very issue, but we appreciate your insights so far on the news at 10.